again, everyone. This is Rudolph Wilkins with Forgotten Fitness, and today I'll be discussing with you a really cool old school exercise variation that you may not have heard of called the bent arm lateral. Now, the bent arm lateral was very common from the early silver era of bodybuilding all the way up into the end of the golden era of bodybuilding. It looks superficially like your standard flat bench fly, but there are a number of key differences that makes it stand out. It is an amazing exercise, very underrated in fact, and it gives you an incredible stretch at the bottom. It is so wonderful, in fact, if there were just two chest exercises I could pick to do for the rest of my life, it would be the Vince Gironda guillotine press and the bent arm lateral. It really isolates the chest like nothing else. So in the following video, I will explain this lift to you and why you may want to perform it. I will also demonstrate it for you. So I hope you enjoy this video. I know what a lot of you all are thinking. What's the big deal with this lift? It looks like your standard dumbbell fly. Well, there are a number of differences. But before I go into that, I think I should mention that this lift is known by many different names depending on the literature. In the upper right-hand corner, that photo is of Steve Reeves. It's a cartoon depiction of him, and it is from Building the Classic Physique the Natural Way. It was one of Steve Reeves' favorite exercises. Now, he calls it the flying motion, but it is not the fly you normally see today. It is a bent arm fly. He mentions that in the description, that it is a bent arm fly. You are keeping your elbows out. It is exactly what I'm talking about today, but it goes by a different name. On the bottom photo, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, doing a variation, and he would just call this a fly, but it is not how you normally see flies done today. It is with bent arms, and it's a little bit different. He also has his legs elevated, which I'll get into in a second. It is performed on a supine bench or a flat bench. You can also do an incline variation. Vince Gironda was actually famous for incorporating that into nearly every program he had for every athlete. That's a different lift though, and I'll go into that a little bit later. A later video, I mean. And as mentioned earlier, it is a combination between a traditional straight arm fly and a press. It is not one or the other, it's a perfect blend of both. It is far superior to a straight arm fly because you can really overload the pecs. With a straight arm fly, your arm is like a fulcrum and it's limited by your joints, by the strength of your tendons and ligaments. When your arm is slightly bent, or significantly bent depending on the variation, it takes away the full length of the fulcrum, it decreases it slightly, and it puts less strain on your individual joints and tendons, and it allows you to get a bigger squeeze, a bigger stretch. A lot of people try to tell me that guillotine press and all these pressing motions that are done with your elbows out to your side, maybe in line with your shoulders or even your ears, depending on your flexibility, that those are inherently bad for your shoulders. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think if you use the appropriate poundage, you take care of your body, you don't ego lift, that you'll be perfectly fine doing any of these lifts. Just listen to your body, and if it doesn't work for you, if your biomechanics do not allow you to do a particular lift, find a different variation. Everybody's different. But for me, I've had no problem with this lift, and I absolutely love it. A thing that should be mentioned is that this lift is designed to target your outer pecs and give you a more prominent pec line, or what Arnold called the scoop of the pec. A lot of people, you can definitely see where their pec starts on their chest, but where it ends is a little more suspect, a little more confusing, because it just kind of melds or blends into the rest of their body. Well, when you look at guys like Reg Park, Steve Reeves, Arnold, all these guys with very well-developed chests, they were a big fan of this lift, and they attribute that line to this lift itself. So keep that in mind, especially if you have a weak pec line, you can definitely incorporate this lift to help you out. It was common among all athletes from the golden and silver eras of bodybuilding, from the 1940s through the 1970s. You pick a name, they did it. Steve Reeves, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Frank Zane, Mike Menser, everybody. There's not an athlete back then that didn't do this lift. And you can definitely see that their pecs were very strong, even though, the rest of their physique might have been slightly underdeveloped from what we consider today as very big. Their pecs were always well-developed, well-defined, looked proportionate, but were strong and had a certain aura to them that a lot of bodybuilders lack today. So to start off with this lift, you want to begin by bringing two fairly heavy dumbbells together at arm's length. I personally like to have them on my knees first and kick them up, but however you like to bring dumbbells to your chest for a dumbbell press, it's the same thing. Next, you want to bring the dumbbells down so that they lie approximately in line with the chest, but 10 inches from each pectoral. I should also mention before this that you want to have your thumbs up and palms facing each other during the entire movement. If you want to slightly rotate at the bottom, Bill Pearl mentions that as being okay, depending on how high you can get your elbows. But you don't want to turn them as if you're doing a standard dumbbell press with the bells facing each other. You want to have them, your palms are actually facing each other on this lift. You want to keep your forearms vertical and your arms bent at the elbow throughout the entire motion. You're not ever going straight, your arms. At the very top of the lift, you can go straight, but the reason that you don't want to have a straight arm at any other portion is because you want to follow the same arc pattern. If you have your arm be straight going down and then bend at the very bottom, you'll lose that arc pattern, and then you won't really get that nice stretch and the nice squeeze you get if you follow this exercise exactly as how it's depicted and explained. Finally, you will press back to the top, follow the same arc, and you will make sure throughout the entire lift to control your breathing so that you inhale in the beginning and exhale at the top. This will allow you to get that pseudo vacuum. It's not a full vacuum, but where you tuck up your midsection, you get that nice trim look when you're doing it, and you can also, in the same time, pop your chest up. So you bring your chest higher, of course you're bringing the dumbbells down, and you can get a better squeeze and a better stretch at the bottom. For a more difficult variation, you want to elevate your feet to both eliminate leg drive and activate your stabilizing muscles in your chest, shoulders, and arms. You can see Arnold doing that right here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Arnold actually learned this from Larry Scott and Vince Gironda, because they were big proponents of doing this. On every pressing motion, on every chest motion, if you could lift your legs, you could better isolate your pecs. You could better think about isolating your pecs and get that better mind-muscle connection and the better contraction. So I really wouldn't put it past Arnold to have actually learned this from Larry Scott or Vince Gironda. Okay, so in the next slide, I will actually demonstrate this lift for you and explain it to you in detail. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section and I'll make sure to help you out. Okay, and this is the bent arm lateral. So as you can see, I am seated on a supine bench, a flat bench. I have kicked the dumbbells up to my chest level, but they are not touching my chest. They are 10 inches away from my chest. My elbows are in line with my shoulders. If you are able to bring your elbows up to your ears, you can do that. I know my limits and I know my flexibility, and I am unable to do that. That's okay. I am pressing the dumbbells to the top, following an arc pattern. And when going back down, I am making sure that I have that strong bend in my elbow, that my elbows are bent the entire time. The reason that is so important is because you are lessening that fulcrum and that strain on your joints and tendons in your shoulders, and you are better isolating your pecs than a normal press. So it's that perfect combination. It's really a great blend of a press and a fly. It is also worth noting that I am focusing heavily on my breathing. You can see my midsection is sucked in slightly, and I'm making sure that I'm popping my chest up when I bring the dumbbells down so that my chest is highly elevated to get a better stretch. I'm also making sure to flex my pecs at the top, flexing them together to get a nice squeeze. And this is the bent arm lateral, a really wonderful lift that is very misunderstood and not practiced highly today. It's far superior to any other fly variation, and it should always be given a chance in any chest routine. I highly recommend all of you try it, and let me know what you think of it, because I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So until next time, this is Forgotten Fitness signing out. Bye-bye. And that concludes this video. If you're interested in any more golden or silver rail bodybuilding content, check out my Instagram at officialforgottenfitness, and also consider supporting Vince's original nutrition company, NSP Nutrition. They make some of the best merchandise, supplements, and books on the market. You can use my code VINCE10 at checkout for an additional 10% off your purchase. And until next time, this is Forgotten Fitness signing out. Bye-bye.